Bonjour, comment allez-vous? This is the Crypto Kid podcast, and today we discuss it's a crypto universe. Thank you for being here, everybody. If this is your first time viewing the Crypto Kid podcast, this podcast is designed for crypto enthusiasts 25 to 50 who are middle class, upper middle class. Maybe you're not either one. Maybe you're just working class, but you've been able to get a nest egg of money, and now you want to get into the crypto game, and you don't know where to start. Well, this podcast is for you. So make sure you subscribe, follow us every day. We're giving you tips on investments. We're giving you tips on which platforms are the best to start a cryptocurrency trading account. We're letting you know information on finance, banking, commodities, currencies, just everything, a plethora of investment information. We're keeping you informed daily because one of the things I've noticed, I've been following the crypto game for about 8 years, and crypto regulations now are changing weekly and globally. So you need to be aware no matter where you are in the world because your country may be anti-crypto. One of the headlines for today was that China is reassessing its anti-crypto stance by the government. And it's doing that because it's observing that the Biden-Harris administration was anti-crypto, anti-Bitcoin, and that was the nail in the coffin for the Harris campaign. And she could not recover from that because when you look at the swing voters who are independent, in addition to that, Donald Trump won by more than 5 million popular votes, which is a landslide. And that tells you that Democrats voted for Donald Trump. To get that many votes, they said that in 2016 that Hillary Clinton won the popular vote by 200,000 votes. After recounting it, they found out that Donald Trump actually won the popular vote as well. But the reason why she regretted conceding is because she felt she won the popular vote. But she lost the electoral college vote, so it didn't matter anyway. The Democrats were ready to delegitimize Donald Trump, but the fact that Donald Trump won by a 5 million vote lead indicates that many people who were registered as Democrat also decided to vote for Donald Trump. And I'd be willing to bet that the entire Biden family voted for Donald Trump as well. Okay. With that being said, Bitcoin is at the price of $89,324, and Ethereum is at the price of $3,020. Dogecoin is at the price of 36 cents, and that is a healthy lead. All of these, Bitcoin is leading the charge, but all these coins are making some impressive gains, and they're holding on to their gains. That's the thing that's important, is that they're holding on to their gains. Let's look at banking news as well, because I want you, banking news. Bankers beware. Elizabeth Warren becomes top Democrat on key Senate banking panel. Oh my God. This woman is dangerous. So, hey, it is what it is. I don't know how this occurred, but it's done. So, and I don't care anyway because I have no respect for the Federal Reserve Bank. I am totally anti-U.S. dollar. BRICS has made an attack. That's Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. They've made an attack on the U.S. dollar by paying all of their debt using the Chinese yuan. I don't respect the Federal Reserve Bank because it's a quasi-government bank. The only control that the government have over the Federal Reserve is that the president gets to appoint a chairman for 4 years, for a 4-year term. However, like right now, Jerome Powell has 2 more years in his term. When Donald Trump becomes president, Donald Trump cannot force out Jerome Powell, even though George W. Bush put a lot of pressure to push Alan Greenspan out. So you can put a lot of pressure, but you cannot fire. You can hire, but you cannot fire the Federal Reserve chair. So Donald Trump is written in the Federal Reserve policies that the president has the right to hire the chair and appoint that person for a 4-year term, but the president does not have the right to fire the Federal Reserve chair if the president does not agree with the policies of the Federal Reserve. Other than that, the Federal Reserve Bank, which regulates the U.S. currency, the dollar, that's their dollar. It's the U.S. dollar, but it's the Federal Reserve's dollar because they control it. It's the U.S. Treasury that prints the money. So they regulate the supply through printing or issuing bonds to retract cash and drive up the price, because with a shortage of dollars, the price of the price of bonds go down, but the price of cash goes up. The price of the US dollar goes up. But we've seen in the last 20 years that the the US Treasury has very few mechanisms to regulate the US dollar and to support it. So I don't have any faith in it. In addition to that, I was telling you guys yesterday that I did my research and I found out that in 1862 that the Bureau of Internal Revenue was created in order to tax US citizens to pay for the Civil War. So that is when the United States, we started with the Declaration of Independence in 1776. And up until 1862, when we're into the Civil War, 80 something years, we're, a little more than 80 years we're existing as a country and there's no federal tax. So we go into a civil war, and that's when Congress votes to create a tax to help pay for the war. What we had to do is borrow money from the King of England and the Vatican. And that the Internal Revenue Act was supposed to be for 10 years. But so from 1862 to 1872. But what they found out is that the Bureau of Internal Revenue was continuing to tax people. So citizens filed a class action suit and took it to the Supreme Court. And in 1895, the Supreme Court ruled that income tax was unconstitutional. So what did Congress do? In 1913, they ratified the 16th Amendment and created a permanent Bureau of Internal Revenue that could tax a variety of goods for any purpose that Congress saw fit. So we as American citizens need to fight back. We need to end this 16th Amendment because we, the people, are in control of this country. We don't care what Congress does because they have to answer to us. Today's citizen has been brainwashed about what the U.S. Constitution, what powers it gives us. It gives us the First Amendment. It gives us the Second Amendment, which states that the federal government does not have the right to infringe upon an adult who is 18 years or older's ability to bear firearms. But what do we find out? At the state and local level, especially if you're in California, they have all these local laws that are unconstitutional because federal law, like, hey, you need to register your gun. Well, at the federal level, it's not stated that the federal government, I need to register my firearm or any other arms I have with the federal government. So this is the same thing with the Internal Revenue Service. Donald Trump needs to do an overhaul and a dismantling of the Internal Revenue Service. He needs to start by firing all 85,000 people that were hired during the Biden-Harris administration. Then he needs to chisel the Internal Revenue Service all the way back to bare bones. And then he needs to do the same thing with the FBI and CIA. In fact, we should completely demolish the Pentagon building. The Pentagon building needs to be completely demolished. And I believe Donald Trump will authorize that. And then the FBI wants a new building larger than the Pentagon to be built in Virginia. They've already secured the land. We need to Donald Trump needs to write an executive order and have that land sold off and prevent the FBI from having that. They're not in the Constitution. The FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the Central Intelligence Agency, neither one of them are in the Constitution. And Donald Trump needs to chop both of these agencies down to the minimum bare bones, if not totally demolish them and restructure them. But before you do that, you're going to need to have a plan. So keep that in mind. Also, if you dismantle the Internal Revenue Service, the federal government is going to need a way to generate revenue. And what I believe is the Internal Revenue Service was created to tax Americans to pay for the Civil War. What the Internal Revenue Service has been doing since its existence, however, is taxing citizens, and then Congress is going into war, and we don't have money for the war, and so they tax citizens even more. So this needs to stop. It's affecting the value of the U.S. dollar. Also, if the United States dismantled the Internal Revenue Service and balanced the budget, we would not be in a position to give Israel money. Israel is its own country, so they need to fund everything they do. The United States owes them nothing. We're two sovereign nations, and as a sovereign nation, they need to build their own weapons. They need to supply their own economy. Their dollar, their currency in Israel is absolutely worthless, and they are living off the backs of the taxpayers of the United States of America. In addition, when you balance the budget, you get rid of the Internal Revenue Service, then we're no longer giving money to Ukraine as well. Because what the Internal Revenue Service has turned into and morphed into is just an endless supply of funds that Congress can use to take us into endless wars. And that is why so many people who are crypto enthusiasts are anti-US dollar. And this is for anybody that wants to understand why mathematicians, software developers, crypto enthusiasts like myself are so anti-dollar. This economy is in hell because the Federal Reserve and the U.S. Treasury don't know what they're doing. And we don't know how many gold bars from J.D. Rockefeller are left. Remember, J.D. Rockefeller gave at least 1 million bricks of gold bars to the Federal Reserve Bank. So he gave $1 billion at 8% interest, and it was a 99-year loan, and this 99-year loan comes due in 2032. For all you people that didn't take economic history courses, don't know how the Federal Reserve was founded, do not understand during Franklin Delano Roosevelt, after the stock market crash of 1929, how we needed to raise money, and the deal that FDR was forced to cut with J.D. Rockefeller, the Carnegies, the Mellons, the Fords, all the top families that had wealth, the Vanderbilts, the Bushes, they gave money to the Federal Reserve Bank. And that is how the Rockefeller family actually exists and survives to this day. Is these are all trust fund babies that are living off of the 8% interest of the $1 billion that J.D. Rockefeller loaned to the U.S. federal government. So that's just a quick history lesson for you guys. With that, this is the Crypto Kid signing out. Remember, the future is crypto.